Good evening and welcome there. Just a few hours to go. Counting starts 8 a.m. Saturday morning. This is the big build-up to Super Saturday. Who will win the big battle for Delhi? I'm Rahul Kanwal and this is India Today's live and continuing coverage of Counting Day. What we'll do is take you through all the scenarios that can pan out when counting actually starts. What can go right for the BJP? What can go right for the Aam Aadmi Party? What can go wrong for both? All that and more coming up on the news track.
Countdown to D-Day in Delhi. Will poll projections hold? Or will Delhi spring a surprise? AAP brands exit polls farzi. High drama hours before the verdict. Post-poll scenarios and data decoded. State of war, Delhi. That is our top focus on News Track.
All roads at the moment lead to Delhi. The stage is set for Super Saturday. Exit polls are projecting a saffron surge in the capital, but will the poll predictions hold or will the voters of Delhi spring a mega surprise? There was high drama in the capital hours before the verdict, with the Aam Aadmi Party accusing the BJP of poaching its candidates. Here's all the action from the capital before counting begins.
Countdown to Delhi's D-Day has begun. Pollsters predict that the BJP is set to break its over two-decade jinx in the capital. Whether exit poll projections hold on Saturday or not, they triggered massive drama hours before the verdict. Terming the exit polls farzi or fake, AAP convener and former Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal claimed that the BJP was trying to poach 16 AAP candidates by offering them 15 crore rupees each.
खरीद फरोख्त करने का काम किया जा रहा है, 15-15 करोड़ की रिश्वत देने का काम किया जा रहा है, विधायकों मंत्रियों को तोड़ने का काम किया जा रहा है। उसकी शिकायत मैं एसीबी भवन में एसीबी के दफ्तर में करने के लिए आया हूं।
By Friday morning, poaching politics took center stage in Delhi. Delhi LG was quick to launch a probe into AAP's allegations. BJP too filed a counter complaint with the Anti-Corruption Bureau.
ये नहीं चलेगा कि आप कुछ भी बकवास करेंगे और उसका परिणाम आप नहीं भुगतेंगे। आपने जो आरोप लगाए हैं घटिया बेबुनियाद हैं। अगर आपके पास तथ्य हैं तो रखिए, नहीं तो फिर इसका परिणाम भुगतने के लिए तैयार रहिए।
Soon, 3 teams of the Anti-Corruption Bureau were dispatched to Arvind Kejriwal's residence. They waited, were not allowed inside and ultimately left after giving a notice asking 5 questions to the AAP convener. Did he post on X claiming Operation Lotus? What are the details of 16 AAP MLA candidates who received phone calls regarding the offer of bribe? What are the phone numbers or names of persons who approached the MLAs? What is the proof to support bribery claims? And why should legal action not be taken for creating panic and unrest among the people of Delhi? Claims, counterclaims, controversies, and high-stakes poll battle. Tomorrow will decide the fate of Delhi and its netas. With Amit Bharadwaj and Piyush Mishra in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, so what are the scenarios that can play out on Super Saturday? The 3 broad scenarios we are tracking for the Delhi election. Scenario number 1 is that somehow, despite what the polls are saying, despite what the pundits are saying, Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party find a way of scraping through. Polls have been wrong in the past. Pundits have been proven wrong too. Could it happen again? For this to happen, the women vote of Delhi would have had to go overwhelmingly in favor of the Aam Aadmi Party. Remember, there are polls that show that AAP is ahead amongst women while the BJP leads amongst men. If the gap is massive, say 10 plus percentage points, 15 points, as some polls like Seaboter have picked up, then AAP will find a way of going through. This will also require that there be no split in the slum clusters in the AAP's vote. Remember, in previous elections, the vast majority of voters in the Juggies of the capital said they voted AAP. If that continues, there may have been some disenchantment, but if that disenchantment doesn't lead to a change in voting pattern in the slums, then that helps the Aam Aadmi Party. And this would also require, lastly, a massive class divide. While the vast majority of, say, those watching India Today at this time, upwardly mobile, relatively well-to-do, they may have a different point of view, but those who are at the bottom of the income pyramid. So it's not so much about caste as much as it is about class. If it becomes an us versus them, a class warfare kind of election, that too helps Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party find a way of going through. So that's scenario one, which sees Kejriwal scraping through. Let's take a look at the second scenario, and this has happened last in 2013, when Sheila Dikshit was on her way out, but AAP didn't have enough steam to knock the Congress out of power. So then you had a khichdi kind of government. So you had Aam Aadmi Party and the BJP both unable to get a majority on their own. Both did well, but you needed the Congress to come in and play a role and help the AAP actually form the government. So this is the second scenario, where neither party gets a majority of its own. Voters are unhappy with the AAP, so the AAP actually slips. The BJP rises, but it isn't enough to turn the political apple cart upside down. So if in which scenario, there'd be all kinds of horse trading, because then you got BJP, and we've already seen the Aam Aadmi Party allege that they're trying to poach MLAs away from the AAP. That will be the charge. The AAP will try and see if they can get together with the Congress to form a government. So that's really scenario number two. Scenario number three is that this election turns into a referendum on Arvind Kejriwal. Aar ya par, like him, hate him, want him out. And if the number of people who view Kejriwal negatively is high, then the state of the local BJP doesn't matter. The candidates, whether they're inspiring, uninspiring, doesn't matter. What matters is people want Kejriwal out. If that is the case, as some polls have predicted, which are picking up a 5-6% gap between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party, then the Bharatiya Janata Party will hit the AAP out of the park at the Arun Jaitley Stadium in the national capital. It would be a massive victory. It would be a sound rejection of Arvind Kejriwal's theatrics, this business of fighting with the government, always being unhappy. Voters will say enough is enough, ab aur drama nahi chahiye. That could potentially lead to a landslide victory for the Bharatiya Janata Party. So those are the three scenarios. I've got some super sharp pundits joining us. Sanjay Kumar is with us. CSDS has done its own poll. Sanjay Kumar leads the team there. And he's put out the vote share data. He's been looking at his polling numbers. I've got Amitabh Tiwari with us. Also on this broadcast is Jasmine Shah. We've got Zafar Iqbal from the BJP. We've got Syed Zafar Islam from the BJP. I've got Sanjay Jha who will give us a Congress-leaning point of view. So let's get started. I want to go across first and foremost to Sanjay Kumar. Sanjay ji, you know, you've just put out the vote share data for CSDS, a 5% lead for the BJP in your poll as well. How are you interpreting that? Are you backing scenario number 3, which suggests a clean victory for the Bharatiya Janata Party?
Yes, Rahul, even though many parties were in the fray, but there's a direct contest between Aam Aadmi Party and BJP. So in a bipolar contest, if a party leads over its nearest rival by 5% vote or a little more than that, that should give the leading party a good majority, not a thumping majority, but a good majority, a decent majority. So I'm looking at scenario number 3, what you have mentioned, BJP getting a good majority on its own, maybe 45 plus seats. So that's I would go along with scenario number 3. Though
let's spend some time on the gender divide. Some polls found women outvoting in favor of the AAP and not so much in favor of the BJP. Some polls found the gap to be very small, some polls found the gap to be very big. What was the broad interpretation from your data, so from your fieldwork?
Certainly not as big as some polls have already indicated, especially the See Voters poll. But yes, there is a clear gender divide when it comes to voting. Women are still tilted in favor of Aam Aadmi Party, maybe I think to the tune of 6 to 7%. So that's the advantage Aam Aadmi Party has among the women voters. But the BJP has almost similar advantage among the male voters. So that's the gender divide we are looking at in our data.
Jasmine Shah, you're looking worried. Am I just reading too much on your face, or how's the Josh?
The Josh is very high, and tomorrow I think all these exit polls are going to be in question. You know, rather than us answering any questions, the questions will be asked of, you know, what is driving this exit poll industry? ये पैसा कौन बना रहा है, क्यों बना रहा है? Because once again, you know, we've seen this repeatedly in 2024. We've seen them recently in Haryana and Maharashtra elections. And again, we are very confident that the people of Delhi are going to give a resounding mandate, a very comfortable mandate to Arvind Kejriwal. They are going to choose a politics of development, a politics of work, जो हम कहते हैं काम की राजनीति, and not a kind of politics which is only obsessed.
No, so what's this business about the Anti-Corruption Bureau? The Anti-Corruption Bureau officials are telling our reporters that they came, they asked Kejriwal, बताओ भाई कौन कह रहा है phone, Operation Lotus कौन चला रहा है, किससे phone आया, number बताओ. And from what we gather from the ACB, AAP leaders never gave the numbers. If you've actually received calls, if the BJP is actually trying to poach your MLAs, even though we don't know who these MLAs are, why didn't you give those details to the Anti-Corruption Bureau?
Now look at this entire dramatics, Rahul, and I'm glad you asked this question. ACB, when they came to Arvind Kejriwal's house,
they did not know that Sanjay Singh, who did the press conference yesterday and put all this information out, actually reached the ACB office with all the proof and the evidence. Not just that, last evening, our sitting minister, Mukesh Alawat, he released the number of a person who actually called and made him the offer. Turns out he is a khas man of Pravesh Verma. ACB ko ye sari cheezein nahi dikhi. They never went and actually looked after the background of who this person is, whose number is there in public domain. I believe Aaj even made a call to that person. But ACB ko to khayal hi nahi aaya ki we should go after the culprits rather than hounding everybody in Aam Aadmi Party. And why do this dramatics and nonsense when Sanjay Singh walked himself to the ACB office, spent a couple of hours and answered every question? This shows the reality, you know. BJP, Delhi Police, Election Commission of India has fought this election as one team. ACB has also joined them as one team.
Zafar Islam, what's the need of these theatrics, as Jasmine Shah calls them? The ACB showing up in full public view. He's leveled a charge. You know, is this an attempt really to go and intimidate the Aam Aadmi Party? You send your big investigative bazookas to the house of Kejriwal hours before counting starts?
Well, Rahul, they have a habit of concocting stories. They attempted it this time as well to mislead the people of Delhi, but they failed miserably because this kind of a stunt backfire on them. When they made this kind of allegation, obviously ACB will come, and because we went to ACB, a fire we had lodged and a fire against Abda Party. So ACB had to go to find out all the details. So let the investigation be over, and it will be clear that these were all concocted stories. There was absolutely no truth in it. As far as the scenario 1, 2, 3 you have shown, the people of Delhi have discarded scenario 1 and 2 and decisively voted in favor of BJP, and we are very confident of our victory. While we are not saying how many seats, but all the exit poll suggesting that we can even go in 61 plus seats. But we are not saying any number of particular seats, how many seats we will get, but we will have a very good majority.
Don't get too carried away just now. We're still a few hours before the counting is concluded. So let's not get too carried away. What we've seen though now, finally in about time, the Election Commission put out data for the male-women breakup. Remember, Amitabh Tiwari, the AAP's big hope was that if women have voted much more than men, then they may win, because women were supporting AAP more than men. But the final voting percentage says 53.35% of the voters were male, 46% were female. So there's about a 6-7% gap with men outvoting women. A simple interpretation of that data would suggest that would suggest advantage BJP, because if there's so much of a gap and women have been fewer, and women were what Kejriwal, Vijay Nair and the whole AAP team was banking on, to what extent is it then a disadvantage AAP?
So see, essentially the women voters in Delhi are one of the lowest across the country, as you mentioned, around 46% versus 54% of males. So even if there is a 6 to 7% lead as per CSDS amongst women voters for
No, this is overall. This is as a percentage of overall. AAP was hoping that women voted in bigger numbers, that women voted more than men, as they have in some states. EC has just put out data to say, of the total voters, 53.35 were men, 46.64 were women.
Yeah, so essentially, if the Election Commission is saying that the turnout of the women is lesser than men, is
much lesser,
what you are saying, then the lead which the Aam Aadmi Party has of 6 to 7%, even in the CSDS survey, gets neutralized because their population itself is lower. It is 46 versus 54. That's number one. Number two, the lead has significantly shrunk compared to the CSDS survey of 2020. It used to be 25%. Now it is down to 6 to 7%. See, as we have discussed, the BJP needed the help of Congress. So what we are seeing is a double dent, if the CSDS numbers hold true, in the vote share of Aam Aadmi Party. The BJP is gaining 6%, whereas the Congress party is also gaining a crucial 5%, delivering a dent of almost 13% to the Aam Aadmi Party, 2% going to others. Now this 5% could be minorities, Dalits, poor, lower socioeconomic section, whereas this 6% which the BJP is gaining compared to 2020 Vidhan Sabha election, or let's say is holding on to compared to the Lok Sabha election of 2024, because they had got 54, which means they are losing only 8% vote share, half of what they normally tend to lose, which means that the middle class, a significant chunk of the middle class, which used to shift because of this brand Kejriwal and this romance with the Aam Aadmi Party, perhaps on this basis of the anti-corruption allegations, or rather the corruption allegations and the budget tax break, it seems that the BJP has been able to hold on to.
Ashutosh has fought an election for AAP earlier. You must be very happy that you're not fighting. You don't need to stress about kal kya hoga, jo bhi hoga. You only need to do panditri. You have no skin in the game at the moment. You're on mute, Ashutosh.
Rahul, first of all, I'm really surprised that the Election Commission took more than 48 hours to come out with the segregated numbers of male and the female voters. And then the second surprising thing is that in 2020, if the male and the female voters were almost similar, this time there is a gap of almost 7%, which is really surprising. What has happened to the Delhi women that they did not come out openly and to vote for? There was so much incentive for them. There was a free bus ride. There was a 2,100 rupees. There were 2,500 from the BJP, 2,500 from the Congress party. So I'm asking.
No, but that's an important point. Because it's a simple Excel calculation. I can't imagine in a small state like Delhi why this would take 48 hours. The EC really needs to be more transparent, because the more you delay, the more people think, kya dal mein kuch kala hai, are they doing something garbad here?
Rahul, but the more sharp is this one. If you look at from 1993 onwards, where men and the women voters are almost at par with each other, and sometimes more than the female voters. This time there's a gap of 7%. This is unexplainable. What has gone wrong? That why women did not vote out when there was so much incentive for them. Every political party was giving so much incentive for them. Either was there some hidden reason that this numbers is showing so much gap? I really fail to understand. Maybe Sanjay Kumar can throw a light on this. What is the reason? What is the psychological reason?
Sanjay ji, how do you explain this gap of almost 6 to 7% between female votes and male votes, and the fact that it took 48 hours for the EC to put this out in a state as simple and small as Delhi?
No, there is a big fallacy in the data. Average turnout is 60%, men turnout is 53%, and women turnout is 43%.
No, sir, aap samjhe nahi. No. That's not what they're saying. Out of the 100 people who voted, 53.35% are men, 46.64% are women. So it's not the percentage of men who voted, percentage of women. Of the total voter turnout, 53 were men and 46 were women. That's the point the EC is making.
No, but for the other data, no. They don't give this data at all. It is always turnout among men, turnout among women. This is not the correct
data.
Problem with this data.
No, but
what is the problem with the data?
No, but if Rahul, just see, 1993, 64.56%, 50, and then how can?
3.8.
But you can't compare 2025 with the previous data, because all the previous year data is the turnout among men and turnout among women. It's
Correct.
not
So,
comparable.
Yeah. So the male and the female turnout is almost
comparable.
similar. It is 60.2 for males and 60.8 for females. What you've showed is as an overall percentage, how many male voted and how many female voted. If it is equal to the actual population, which it is,
these are not comparable data.
But the turnout is same for males and females.
Correct. So I just want to go across and get Sanjay Jha into this.
Is this a comparable data?
No, it's not. Please be understand. They're just telling you what percentage of the vote was men, what percentage is women. I think it's being misread. So let's not blame the EC where they're not to blame. They'll give you men and women data separately as well. The two are not comparable. Just bear that in mind. I want to go across to Sanjay Jha on the role of the Congress party. Now, the polls are suggesting that the Congress could bag from 7 to 9% votes. Last time they were at 4.65, which basically means that if the exit polls are correct and if the BJP wins, the BJP will have to thank the Congress party for helping make this possible.
Rahul, I don't think it's as simplistic. Because the Congress party, if it reaches 9% or even if it reaches 10%, it will definitely be eating most or the substantial amount of the AAP votes. Will it be significant enough to torpedo them is still up in the air. And I'll tell you the reason behind that. Because the overall voter turnout is lower as well. So what you're finding in this election, if you go by the traditional hypothesis, that the larger the number of voters, especially as it happens at the end, favors the BJP's cadre-driven supporters to come out and vote, that prima facie doesn't seem to have happened, which means that if at all it is going to be a huge diminution of the Aam Aadmi Party votes, it is going to be probably going to the 5% or 4% to the Congress. Does it mean that a large chunk has gone to the BJP? I think that's a rather, I would call as a very cosmetic assessment of where the votes are going. Point number two, even if you look at the last debate that you were doing between women and male voters, if 46% of the voters are women, and women are anyway a smaller chunk of the overall demographics, then it's good news for AAP actually, because it basically means that still they are a significant proportion of the overall voting population. So those who assume that the women voters are suppressed may be actually getting it wrong. And point number three, the Congress party, in my opinion, has made a mistake by fighting all these 70 seats. It should have been more tactical in fighting maybe those which looked like a potential number two and therefore an opportunity to probably win at least 10 or 12
No, but that's
seats.
not the way, Ashutosh, the Congress saw it. The Congress clearly decided that the Aam Aadmi Party is the bigger villain. Let's take the Aam Aadmi Party down. Pehle inse nipatte hain, agle election mein BJP ko dekhenge. That's the strategy the Congress went into these elections with.
See, I think, Rahul, there's a lot of confusion between the Congress party and Aam Aadmi Party. If you remember correctly, why to blame Congress party? Because the very next day after the parliament election, Gopal held a press conference in Delhi and said that the alliance between the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party is over. So when Aam Aadmi Party has declared that the alliance is over, then the Congress has every right to treat BJP at par with the Aam Aadmi Party, because they are also contesting election. They also have to reclaim their ground, and unless they reclaim that ground from the Aam Aadmi Party, then only then they can build their party in Delhi. And if today Aam Aadmi Party is having a problem, then the Congress should also had a problem when the Aam Aadmi Party had gone to the Gujarat and became major reason BJP is getting a unprecedented mandate in Gujarat. So I think the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party has to sit together and decide whether they want BJP to win or they want to build their own castles independently. This both can't happen at the same time. I think the same mistake which Congress Party and Aam Aadmi Party committed in Gujarat or in Goa, same mistake they are committing again in Delhi.
No, but it's not so simple, Ashutosh. It's not so simple because AAP was in power. How can a party which is in power, which won 62 of the 70 seats last time and 67 in the election before that, concede that it's on the back foot and give some of those seats to the Congress party? And even if they'd given 3 or 4 or 5, the Congress would not have been okay with it. So the clash was inevitable.
Rahul, if the BJP, if the Congress and Aam Aadmi Party has to fight with the BJP, then they had to learn tricks from the BJP, because BJP last time in Bihar had 122 parliamentary seats. But to accommodate Janata Dal United, they conceded 5 seats and contested only on 17 seats. The similar thing they did in the Maharashtra also. So if Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress, they treat each other as enemies, then there's no point being in India Gathbandhan. They have to accommodate each other.
Let Jasmine Shah respond to Ashutosh. He's been part of the AAP. He understands the inner dynamics, and at one level he's correct. I don't know if the results would have been different, but cannibalization of the AAP vote by the Congress to some extent will be a factor no matter how the final result tallies tomorrow. You're on mute, Jasmine. You're on mute, Jasmine. Sir, abhi जनता ने आपको खामोश नहीं किया. It's almost as if the voters have silenced you. It hasn't happened yet. You can speak. Please speak fearlessly.
Am I audible?
There's no ACB here. Yes, go on. Say what you want.
No. If there is ACB also, I'll speak. Don't worry.
Yes.
My point was that Congress, for whatever strategic jugglery they may have tried to do in this election, the reality is that they were never a factor. But one thing that clearly stands out is the intent behind fighting. When we were fighting the Gujarat election, our intent was not to diminish the Congress. Our intention was to defeat the BJP. Many of your journalists covered the Gujarat election, and many of them attest to the fact that ground pe keval Aam Aadmi Party और BJP लड़ती हुई दिखी. Congress तो चैन की नींद सो रही थी. What happens in Delhi? Congress is only attacking Aam Aadmi Party. Congress is only targeting Kejriwal. They do not utter a word against everything that BJP has been doing. For the first time, paisa बट रहा था, साड़ियां बट रही थी. The amount of money and liquor that was being distributed, unprecedented. Election Commission was completely silent. Delhi police was politicized. Congress did not utter a word, as if they really wanted to make sure that the BJP wins and the Aam Aadmi Party loses. And that is what Congress will have to answer to the people of India. उनकी लड़ाई आम आदमी पार्टी के साथ है या बीजेपी के साथ है? आप जब
Sanjay Jad, how do you come out on this? Because Rahul Gandhi spoke of the India alliance in his address in Parliament, responding to what the President said. But for a long time, from June till now, India alliance didn't seem to be much of a priority for Mr. Gandhi and for the Congress. Whereas allies of the Congress, like the Samajwadi Party, Trinamool, some others, have been saying, why don't you let Mamata Banerjee lead the India alliance if you don't want to?
Rahul, that is a very valid question. But let me tell you, the Congress has a serious predicament. It is literally skating on with both its feet on a banana peel. And the reason is, it is the head of the India alliance, undoubtedly, but it is also competing against most of the alliance partners in different states, including, by the way, the CPM in Kerala, who happens to be their most reliable ally. Now, where Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi is concerned, my takeaway is that I've been in the Congress for a long time to tell you, many people in the Congress are extremely distrustful of the Aam Aadmi Party for the simple reason that they believe that the entire Congress demolition began with Arvind Kejriwal during the 2011 agitation, that Narendra Modi is a collateral beneficiary of that entire agitation. Chief Minister was Arvind Kejriwal. The political windfalls went to the BJP and the AAP, and the Congress has remained devastated thereafter. So there are many people in the Congress who say that treat this election like a quarter-final or a semi-final, diminish AAP because there could be some kind of a repercussion even in Punjab going forward. More important, it will basically shoehorn Arvind Kejriwal into fixing his bastion and not make him become ambitious in other states where the Congress is definitely looking like a front runner.
Jasmine Shah, AAP thinks about AAP, Congress thinks about Congress. That's the nature of politics. You brought them down, they'll take you down.
See, this is precisely what we said a month back, that Aam Aadmi Party is fighting this election to save Delhi, to save democracy in Delhi, and to make sure that the progress of Delhi continues. For Congress, it was never about Delhi. It was never about the issues of the people. It was about diminishing Aam Aadmi Party. And that is, I'm glad Sanjay Jha has underlined the entire existential crisis and this arrogance of Congress that even a decade after Aam Aadmi Party has been in national politics, to say that आम आदमी पार्टी की वजह से हम खत्म हो गए, आप अपने कुकर्मों की वजह से खत्म हुए. The people of Delhi voted you out of power. The people of Delhi brought you to zero from, you had a 3-time government. आप zero पे, you cannot come because some new party comes on the horizon. That's the nature of democracy. Please accept that you lost the script. People have lost faith in Congress in Delhi and many parts of the country. Try doing positive politics. Try talking about issues of the people rather than calling Arvind Kejriwal an anti-national. That is how people will start believing in you again. I think that is the difference that you see between, the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party in Delhi.
Okay, we leave this for a few hours later when we do the post-mortem. For the moment, we're looking, Sanjay Kumar, at the voting data. So basically, 94,51,997 voters voted, out of which 53% were men, 46% were women. Amongst the women, there was about 60.8% voter turnout. Amongst the men, there was 60.2%. So it's roughly the same. It hasn't gone up. Usually, a few hours or the night after polling, the voter percentage has been going up 4, 5, 6% last couple of elections. This time, that hasn't happened.
Certainly. Now, if you look at the turnout among men and women, the turnout is more or less equal. So, I think whatever advantage we are looking at for AAP among the women voters, that advantage will be there even if Aam Aadmi Party doesn't perform well. So, I expect that advantage for Aam Aadmi Party among the women is still there, and men have tended to vote for BJP in a much bigger way.
Why were men more pro-BJP than women?
I think if you look at the various schemes launched by Aam Aadmi Party and the promises which Aam Aadmi Party has made, so the promises and the deliverables both joined together, both clubbed together, raised hope among the women that this is the party which has delivered, and if this party is promising even slightly lesser than what BJP has promised, they should go with the Aam Aadmi Party because this is a party which has delivered for them during last few years. So I think that's the trust women have showed in Aam Aadmi Party, but men, and this is not only about Delhi. If you go state by state also, you will find BJP slightly more popular among the men voter. I think that Delhi also goes along with the trend in other states.
Sanjay Jha wants to chime in on this. BJP
Rahul,
leading amongst men, AAP leading amongst women in the post-poll data of CSDS.
Rahul, I believe it is going to be rather synthetic to assume that because the male voters have voted predominantly for the BJP as an assumption, that it is possibly going to be a major landslide. Don't forget that a lot of the male voters are also people who are migrant, population living in Delhi. And many of them actually are beneficiaries of the Aam Aadmi Party's welfare policies. Now, these are migrant labor coming from the state I come from, Bihar in Uttar Pradesh, what you call as the Purvanchal area. And many of them are actually struggling at the lower or the bottom of the pyramid, of the income pyramid for sure. So they are also voters, and they are big voters in this election. So to assume that those numbers are not overwhelming and therefore they may be AAP and pro-BJP for whatever reasons the pollsters are saying, it is rather simplistic. I think that number does not manifest a direction in favor of the BJP necessarily.
Okay, what are the X factors? What could be the surprise on Super Saturday? What's the one thing? I'll start with Ashutosh. He's fought an election in the capital. What's the one thing that you think can throw all the pundits and pollsters off guard?
Rahul, it all depends how much Arvind Kejriwal has lost his charisma. This election will be decided by the loss and the gain of charisma by Arvind Kejriwal, because in my opinion, substantially he has lost charisma in the last few years, and partly because of the corruption charges and the Sheesh Mahal, and partly also because of the kind of the theatrics he has done and tried to align himself with the soft Hindutva politics. That is one reason. Otherwise, in terms of delivery, I think Aam Aadmi Party, if compare it, it hasn't done badly. In terms of water, electricity, education, and health, in all 4 parameters, out of 10, must have delivered 6, 7, which is a pretty good number. So it's all because of Arvind Kejriwal. It's like parliament election. Everything hinges around Narendra Modi. He lost charisma, and that is why BJP could not get 272 seats. If that happens, and the Delhi voters decide that enough is enough, I trusted Arvind Kejriwal, but he's not the same person I used to know, then Aam Aadmi Party will be in deep trouble.
So you're saying it comes down to being a referendum on Arvind Kejriwal, like it was a referendum in the Lok Sabha on Prime Minister Modi. Love him or hate him, and then you decide. It's not about other things. Amitabh Tiwari, what is the one X factor that's haunting you where all the panditry could be proven wrong?
So the lower turnout by 2.5% does pose challenge for the pollsters, because then and we now get to know because all the polls have already been done, that the women and the men turnout is almost exactly same. So what are the assumptions with regard to the various cohorts which the exit polls have done? Middle class, poor, lower socioeconomic class, upper caste, Muslims, SCs, STs, they would have assumed a certain percentage of a turnout. Now, if that is not equal to, or if that does not reflect the reality, then some of these numbers could go wrong. I would say the X factor still is the middle class voter, because in Delhi, unlike other states, middle class population is significantly higher. The poor and the lower socioeconomic class population is not significantly higher than the middle class. And it is the middle class which the BJP has been wooing with hitting at the core of the AAP's philosophy, which is corruption, and the tax break which they've given is sort of a tangible benefit which they've given to the middle class. Now,
Zafar Islam, women, is that the X factor that haunts you the most or will keep you up till later than you should be tonight? That you don't know how many women as a percentage have gone out and voted, and what is AAP's lead amongst women? That really, from the BJP's lens, is the one X factor which could see Kejriwal scrape through on Super Saturday.
Not at all. We are not overly concerned, because we know exactly that women have voted for BJP as well as men have voted for BJP. So these concerns are actually being bothered to AAP party or ABDA party, but we are not really concerned about it, because we know that they have voted for us. Having said that, you will see tomorrow that Arvind Kejriwal losing big time, Atishi Marlena losing big time, and Sisodia losing big time. And it will be the end of a story for ABDA party and Kejriwal and company.
आप तो अभी से खुश हो रहे हो सर, वेट कर लो, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कुछ घंटे. You are like, it's like the happiness is coming through the screen and jumping out to everyone who's watching at this moment. थोड़ा wait कर लो. Pollsters have been wrong again, and that's what Jasmine's hoping for. That probability, they've got these polls wrong. The pundits have been wrong. They were wrong in Haryana. Against all odds, the BJP won. Could they be wrong again? That's what Jasmine is hoping for. What's your big X factor, Jasmine?
See, the big X factor in Delhi is always going to be Arvind Kejriwal. He's a figure that towers above everybody else. And, people can pick hairs, people can find some flaws, but they know that here's a man, an educated, honest man, trying to actually solve issues that none of the political parties even talk about. Education, healthcare, cheap electricity, 24 ghante electricity, water, transport. These are things that actually affect the lives of people. Today, our biggest, labharthi or beneficiary class, Rahul, is the parents of the 18 lakh children in government schools, the 2 crore patients who visit our mohalla clinic. Unko aap भ्रमित नहीं कर सकते. You cannot throw propaganda at them. They know that this man has actually tried improving our lives. उनको फंसाया गया था. 2 साल काम शायद कम हुए, but he is still the best man to take Delhi forward. And I think that is what the verdict tomorrow is going to reveal.
But so it's a referendum, good or bad. And we saw, I think, from my interpretation, Arvind Kejriwal realized that, which is why they tried to change the projection. It was never Kejriwal alone. In several of the interactions he did towards the end of the campaign, you had Kejriwal, Sisodia, Saurabh Bhardwaj, Atishi, all sitting together. So you want to show its team up. It's not just about Kejriwal. Sanjay Kumar, your X factor, what would it be when you look at your polling data? What is it that makes you most concerned about what may happen in a few hours from now?
Rahul, I think more than anything else, Delhi election is all about class. We are talking about middle class, we are talking about the poor and the lower classes. And the voting pattern of these classes had been very, very different even in the past. In this election also, I think these classes of voters are going to vote slightly differently, not as sharp as it used to be in 2020 or 2015. So I think the turnout among these communities, we don't know. Nobody can guess what has been the proportionate turnout among these classes. If the turnout among these classes are very, very different, I think this may create an upset for the pollsters.
Okay, Sanjay Jha, your X factor before I wrap up.
Rahul, I believe the X factor in this election is, did the Delhi voter think, is the change worth it? If you look at the voter turnout, it tells you, despite all the hype, the attention, the media attention, the scrutiny, Modi, Rahul Gandhi, Arvind Kejriwal campaigning, the voter turnout tells you that the voter is not extremely enthused at all. There seems to be a general disenchantment with the entire political ecosystem, which is bad news for all political parties. Yet at the same time, there is going to be, in my opinion, a greater advantage for Aam Aadmi Party, because a status quo for a party that has been an outlier in Indian politics, people might be keen to just give Arvind Kejriwal one more chance, because as it is, the BJP runs half the state with the LG running law and order, land and many other services. So I think there could be the victimhood or the sympathy factor that could still benefit AAP at the final.
No, but that's worked twice already. You can play the sympathy card or the victim card once. You can play it twice. Can you play it again and again? That really is one question. Who's most anxious? Jasmine? शक्ल से तो आप ही सबसे वरीड लग रहे हो, बाकियों को लग रहा है जो भी होगा देखा जाएगा, परेशान तो आप लग रहे हो मुझे.
I think it's a fag end of a day, a fag end of a very long day. We also work on the ground, so a lot of things are happening simultaneously. We are entering tomorrow very, very confident. We know the work that we've put, and we have seen this in the reaction of the people when they're coming out to vote. And I'm telling you again, this is another going to be huge face loss for this entire exit poll industry. People of Delhi are going to vote for Arvind Kejriwal's government once again.
I'll give you my 2 pennies before I wrap up. No matter who says what on the show, it's frankly women and the kind of ultimate breakup between AAP and BJP. If women have voted decisively in favor of AAP, that's really the only hope that Kejriwal and Jasmine Shah and gang have. They won't say this on TV, but that's really their big hope, because they realize that elsewhere the ground has shifted, but amongst women, their polling data gives them a big lead. If it turns out to be a stupendous lead, as there has been in the past, then AAP has a chance. If not, the BJP, as we described in scenario 3, is going to be quite comfortably placed. But just imagine, it's going to be, Ashutosh, supremely exciting, because if after these 3 elections, if the BJP wins, the BJP will be dancing. In Delhi, they'll be dancing all across the country. And if after everything all of you have said and done over the past 48 hours, Kejriwal scrapes through, then imagine, after all this climax that's been built and the hype around the potential BJP win, if Kejriwal still wins, chhodega nahi kisi ko.
Rahul, I still feel that Aam Aadmi Party has a better chance. He can scrape through.
So you're on scenario 1.
Many people.
अच्छा सबसे करा लेते खत्म करने से पहले. You're on scenario 1.
See, Rahul, many people have written Arvind Kejriwal's obituary many times, and every time he has risen like a phoenix.
That's true. You can't write him off. He's a pugnacious fighter.
Actually, Rahul.
Anji. Go on, Zafar.
Can I speak, Rahul?
आप बताओ सिनेरियो 1, 2, 3. आप तो 3 बोलोगे. अगर कोई 4 होता कि 60 प्लस पर बीजेपी, आप तो वो भी 4 बोल लेते.
No, obviously. No. So there are 2-3 things I'll just add. First, whether it's 50 seats plus or around 50 seats. That is one concern if we have, whether 50 plus or around 50. Second thing is that what works for us, really very honestly and candidly, I'm accepting that besides all the support we are getting from every section of the society and all section of the voters, all class of the voters, but the fight which I heard just Sanjay Jha, originally from Congress, and Abda Party spokesperson, And it is like music to my ears because this really worked to our advantage.
But there was no fight.
Because as long as they keep fighting,
no
it will
fight.
benefit us. So this is also. So no, I mean, these new parties are fighting on the ground. So this is definitely advantage us.
No, and we saw that in the Lok Sabha elections. The BJP
work for,
is tested only when the opposition is truly united. There is a big message there. Okay, Sanjay Jha, scenario 1, 2 or 3?
Well, let me be very honest, Rahul. I have been...
Third thing, let me just... Sanjay, last thing. Sanjay, last. See,
okay.
That's just 10 seconds. Also, you will see 2-3 very surprise win for BJP. One is Mustafabad, second is Okla, and another one is Badli, where Congress is thinking that they will win, but all 3 seats...
Okay, Zafar, your 10 seconds are over.
Okay, Sanjay Jha, scenario 1, 2 or 3?
Okay, let me tell you, Rahul, I am a Congress supporter, but if the Congress is not going to do well enough, I do believe that the Aam Aadmi Party is an outlier in Indian politics. It has done enough to shake up the political system. I will hope Aam Aadmi Party pips the BJP.
Amitabh Tiwari, scenario 1, 2 or 3?
See, Aam Aadmi Party is on the back in this election,
My friend,
I think.
Don't dream.
आप तो बोलने ही नहीं दे रहे, अभी जीते भी नहीं हो, किसी को बोलने नहीं देते, बोलने तो दो.
See, Aam Aadmi Party is on the back foot in this election. So scenario 3 probably, yeah.
You think scenario 3. Sanjay Kumar, scenario 1, 2 or 3?
Scenario 3.
So he's picking a very clear thing. I won't ask Jasmine Shah. I'll just say, let the fat lady sing, let votes be counted, let the best man or woman win. You've heard from all, the interest is phenomenal. You can almost feel the buzz, you can feel the excitement. The interest is epic. Let's see what happens when the EVMs are actually opened. I hope you won't say Jasmine Shah ki cheating ki. No matter what happens, I just hope that win or lose, everyone accepts the verdict for what it is. They shouldn't say, oh, EVMs are fixed. Kejriwal hasn't said it. AAP, to be fair, Jasmine, hasn't been critical of EVMs largely. That's more Rahul Gandhi's trope. Will it stay like that? Or is that one of the attacks you have ready?
One point here, and we have not blamed the EVM, and we are not going to blame here also. But we have called out the blatant politicization of the election commission, which we have never seen in the history of Delhi. Money was being distributed, liquor was being distributed, sadiyan, all of this happening in the heart of Delhi, a few 100 meters away from election commission office. You have seen journalists being beaten up by Delhi police in front of everybody, and election commission did nothing. It was completely silent this election. These questions will be as it was not Aam Aadmi Party fighting against BJP and Congress. We were fighting against the election commission, against the Delhi police, and today even the ACB. And even after that, we are confident we will win, because that is the popularity that our work and the leadership of Arvind Kejriwal enjoys in front of the people of Delhi.
Let's wait for the fat lady to sing, and then we will do the panditry based on the actual numbers. The polls have spoken. Let the voters speak. Thank you for tuning in.